So what did you take away from the fact that there were some dissenters out there?
There was a lot of dissent. On the dissent part, Paul, the significant thing to me was it's not a dissent of whether to cut or not to cut. Normally, that's where you would have the dissent. Now you have people who want not to change, and the other dissent being you cut only 25 basis points, I want to cut 50 basis points. So even the dissent is now very varied compared with what you would expect to happen in terms of Fed membership. At the same time, it is said that Powell was giving a speech relatively free of miscues and misstatements in yesterday's press conference. But in reality, I think he couldn't say very much because on the one hand, he was being beat up by President Trump. And on the other side, he didn't have his Fed behind him. And so he just walked a narrow path, which is why he was quite obtuse in terms of what he was trying to say.
Interesting. I was looking at the 2 to 10 year spread, and it was about 8 basis points before the action yesterday, and kind of narrowed it a little bit, suggesting that maybe the markets don't think that this Federal Reserve can prevent a recession. Is that your read as well?
You make a very good point. We went from 8 basis points, and this morning we are somewhere between 2 and 3 basis points. So we have had a flattening of that, and we have a similar flattening of the 3-month, 10-year spread. What that is saying, even as the equity markets moved from a minus 200 soon after the Fed decision to end the day slightly up on the Dow Jones, Paul, the bond market doesn't believe it. And this, to me, is a repeat of 2006, 2007. The bond market predicted the Great Recession through an inversion of the yield curve 12 to 15 months before it happened. The equity market rallied into the first half of 2008. Oil prices reached a record $145. And so you had this divergence. And I think once again, the bond market is telling you something very different from the equities market.
One final question. We need your update on economic growth 12 months forward. Laurent Spoon and OECD was out with a pretty grim global outlook. China GDP out 1 year under 6% as well. Can you go under 2% for economic growth within the United States?
I am looking for sub 2% in the third and fourth quarters, just a little bit sub 2 in these 2 quarters.
Of what year?
Of 2019, like
right now,
1.9.
Right now,
right now.
What are we getting wrong? What are the optimists getting wrong at 2.2, 2.3%?
The optimists, I think, are extrapolating the past, which is what many optimists have typically done. And you had come down to 2% from the 3.1 earlier in the year. So it is suggesting to you it's coming down. Well, what can change? What can make my forecast go wrong? If you have a payroll tax cut, if you have a huge fiscal stimulus, you have 1 or 2 quarters of a bump, and then you come down again.
Does employment come in? I mean, we've seen the 3-month moving average non-farm payrolls, let's call it 200-ish, down to 140, 150. Can you bring that linearly down lower?
I think so. I think the labor market is getting tired. I will be watching. I will not look for the I won't look for the unemployment rate alone, Tom. I think I look for the participation rate.
Okay.
I look for the number of hours worked and wages. That's where I think you're going to see the big pressure coming.
Is it okay if we don't talk about Columbia football?
You don't have to.
Okay. Kumar, thank you so much.
Thank you as always.
Columbia. We're thrilled to have him in. Viviana emails in. Viviana notes that our Harvard coverage was outstanding to San Diego. She notes that a real school like Yale University would have a game this weekend. They would go the distance, just like Field of Dreams.
Right.
The distance to Worcester, Massachusetts. They're going to host Holy Cross.
Oh, boy.
I mean, San Diego, the romance of it and all. Holy Cross, Yale. We'd look for that this weekend. Viviana, thank you so much for listening this morning to Bloomberg Surveillance. Up 94, green on the screen, Paul.
Yes, it is, and I think
it's negative. We flipped around. I don't know why. Is it yields? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I think people just kind of, we did get that rate cut, and people are just trying to parse what they heard afterwards from Chairman Powell
and share buybacks, like
share buybacks.
I mean, it's the same old.
Yep.
Let us look at the currency market. I've been deficient there. We had a strong dollar off of the Fed meeting for a while. We've pulled back fractionally is all I want to say. Yen, 108.02. A lot of opinion on yen. Euro, 110.63. Hasn't moved for 3 weeks. Euro, yen, 119.51. And sterling is an interesting story. We've really stayed away from that. The Supreme Court in the United Kingdom is finishing up today, and we're looking for that important suspension or prorogation ruling from the Supreme Court. Sterling stronger, out near 125. This is Bloomberg. Good morning.
Let's get national headlines right now with Michael Barr. Michael.
Paul, Tom, thank you very much. Iran's foreign minister is threatening all-out war. That's a quote. If the U.S. or Saudi Arabia launches a military strike against Iran, the move comes after Secretary of State Mike Pompeo blamed Iran for an attack over the weekend on Saudi oil facilities. Javad Zarif tells CNN they will not hesitate to defend their country.
We don't want war. We don't want to engage in a military confrontation. We believe that a military confrontation based on deception is awful. We'll have a lot of casualties, but we won't blink to defend our territory.
The communication between President Trump and a world leader so alarmed a U.S. intelligence official that the official filed a formal whistleblower complaint with the Inspector General of the intelligence community. That's according to the Washington Post, which reports at issue was a promise that the president allegedly made to the foreign leader. The identity of the foreign leader the president was alleged to have spoken with has not been revealed. In Texas, more than 21 inches of rain has fallen in areas east of Houston since Tuesday. Flash flood warnings and road closures are in effect. Global news 24 hours a day, on air and at TikTok, on Twitter, powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Michael Barr. This is Bloomberg, Tom.
And Michael Barr, thanks so much. Not near records, but getting there. SPX 3015 up 8 points. Dow 27,209 up 62. This is Bloomberg.
Hey y'all, Jeff Foxworthy here. Now, if you've ever found yourself repeating the same thing over and over for 75 years, you might be Smokey Bear.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
That's why I'm filling in for Smokey to switch things up, because there's a lot more to say. And I should know because my grandfather was a firefighter. And one of the things he taught me is that the people that love the outdoors the most are often the ones accidentally starting wildfires, which means always BYOB. No, bring your own bucket to the campfire. And be extra careful with things like burning yard trimmings. Don't just walk away, or chances are you might be starting a wildfire. So for the love of the outdoors, go to SmokeyBear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Asset managers who seize change to launch new strategies, add distribution channels, or exploit new technology to re-engineer the investor experience are often rewarded. However, in an industry paralyzed with complexity, few act with agility or decisively. Few run their business strategically. Yet, the most competitive managers in the market know, with the right partner and a flexible operating platform, you can. Go boldly toward change with SEI Investment Manager Services.
Determination and operational strength are both essential factors for growth in asset management. I'm Steve Meyer, President and Head of SEI's Investment Manager Services Division. We know that disruptive forces create opportunities around the world. If you see potential in change, our industry specialists will maximize SEI's integrated platform of data and risk management, global investment operations, compliance support, and investor services to position your asset management business for success. Come grow with us.
With SEI Investment Manager Services, you lead the charge in a competitive marketplace. Learn more at SEIC.com/seize change.
This is a Bloomberg Pacific.
At Jet2 Holidays, we like keeping things simple. If you do too, our great value all-inclusive holidays are simply perfect. Meals, drinks and snacks are all included in the price. So book now with just a £60 deposit. Jet2 Holidays. Package holidays you can trust. Subject to availability and conditions.
You're in charge of hiring, and Indeed has solutions, like online skills tests, which let a candidate show that they are the right hire. And we give you this toy monkey, who will bang its symbols when the right CV appears on your desktop. Okay, there is no monkey. There is no monkey. But there are online skills tests.
See why more than 250,000 companies in the UK use Indeed for hiring. Visit Indeed.com/try today to try skills tests for free today. Terms and conditions apply.
Dreaming of a new kitchen? At Wix, we take care of everything, from expert design to an installation service you can trust. And there's a great price. Right now, there's up to 50% off kitchen installation. Speak to us today and get your kitchen installed for Christmas. For minimum spend, terms and exclusions, see wix.co.uk.
1 in 2 people believe they should check their work email on holiday. 1 in 3 believe it's okay to eat a colleague's lunch. And 1 in 14 believe it's okay to steal loo roll from work. People believe all sorts of strange things. Some people believe that insurance companies try to avoid paying claims. But last year, Zurich paid 99% of insurance claims made by their UK customers. Zurich, an insurance company you can believe in. To find out more, visit zurich.co.uk/99.
We could play epic music. Or we could speak in an overdramatic tone. Or even set off fireworks! But that's just not smarty. Instead, we let our offer do the talking. Right now, you can grab 25% off our unlimited data SIM. That's just $18.75 a month with no speed restrictions, no credit check, and no long contract to tie you in. Now that's smarty. Just search Smarty Mobile and switch today. It's easy. Offer available for a limited time only. See smarty.co.uk for terms.
A nice weekend. A nice walk. A nice relax on the sofa. Is nice what you really want, or is nice not satisfying you? You're always thinking, can I do more? Life as an RAF reserve could satisfy that urge. With life-saving, mountain climbing, truck driving, helicopter flying weekends. So when Monday comes and Jackie asks what you've got up to, you can say you've had more than just a nice weekend. There's a role waiting for you right now. Search RAF Reserves. Find your force.
News 24 hours a day, on air and at TikTok on Twitter. Powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in over 120 countries. This is Bloomberg Radio. Now, a global news update.
It's raining hard on southeastern Texas, so hard that authorities are rescuing hundreds from rising water. Meteorologist Chad Myers.
Now 34 inches already on the ground is the highest number. Flash flood emergencies. Houston calling it a life-threatening situation.
The Trump administration is revising the government's rules on automotive emissions, and EPA Chief Andrew Wheeler says California no longer gets a pass for tougher standards.
It makes sense that Congress carved out waiver authority for California to address its unique local problems. It does not make sense to use that authority to try to address national and global issues like greenhouse gas emissions.
An inspector general for the Intel community is on Capitol Hill to take questions about a mystery involving an in-house whistleblower who reportedly complained that President Trump made an undisclosed promise to a foreign leader. I'm Jan Johnson.
It's a long way to November 3rd, 2020.
The timing is rotten.
You're going to need some company. Politics, policy, power, and law.
Is there any compromise?
Weekdays at noon Eastern on Bloomberg Radio. Bloomberg, the world is listening. Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and at TikTok on Twitter. This is a Bloomberg Business Flash.
And I'm Karen Moscow. This update's brought to you by Interactive Brokers, rated #1 best online broker in 2019 and low-cost online broker for the 18th consecutive year by Barron's. Learn why at ibkr.com/YIB. And U.S. stocks are advancing along with European shares as investors process a slew of fresh monetary policy decisions following the Federal Reserve rate cut. We check the markets every 15 minutes throughout the trading day on Bloomberg. The S&P 500 up 0.25%. Or up 7 points to 3014. The Dow Jones Industrial Average up 0.2% or 56 points to 27,203. NASDAQ up 0.4% or 32 points to 8209. 10-year Treasury up 9/30 seconds, yield 1.76%. The yield on the 2-year 1.72%. NYMEX crude oil is up 0.8% or 45 cents at 58. $6 a barrel. COMEX gold is down 0.4%, down $6.60 to $15.0910 an ounce. The euro is at 1.1064 against the dollar. The British pound at 1.2482. The yen is at 108. The Federal Reserve added a third dose of liquidity to a vital corner of the funding markets today, helping rates retreat further as investors warn that fresh bouts of stress remain possible in the weeks ahead. The New York Fed injecting another $75 billion through an overnight repo operation. And Credit Suisse Group plans to impose charges on more wealthy clients as it prepares to spread the pain of negative interest rates. The bank expects to start charging for Swiss franc deposits after imposing a 0.4% fee on euro accounts of more than $1.1 million. And that's a Bloomberg Business Flash. Tom and Paul.
Karen, thanks so much. Bloomberg surveillance this morning worldwide. Brought to you by Eisner Amper. Taxes are one of the certainties of life. But what worked for corporate tax players in the past may not work today. Eisner Amper can help. Visit EisnerAmper.com/tax certainty. We are thrilled to bring you, this is the conversation of the day for a select group of states, but really coast to coast. Mitch Rochelle with PwC, who is definitive on real estate dynamics. Mitch, Mr. Icon, walking dogs in Central Park, will be walking dogs, I guess, near Biscayne Bay, in Miami, north of Miami Beach, Indian Creek, and a lot of fancy people live there and all that. But it's a much bigger trend, isn't right now. Describe the scale of change of various and sundry states, Connecticut, New York, whatever the states are, to Florida. How big is the dash? How big is the move?
The people buying one-way tickets, you mean, Tom?
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is this is a trend that started before the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act was signed in late 2017. We were observing